Here's a trick that will cut away 10 years of your wealth building journey. So stay till the end of the video to understand how it works. Hi, and welcome to this video. Today, we're going to look at the strategy of Michael Saylor. How was he able to make his company so successful? And how can you use this knowledge also to build personal wealth? The Bitcoin transformation, how Michael Saylor reinvented MicroStrategy, and how you can invent your company or your personal life. A corporate treasury revolution worth billions transformed a software company into a Bitcoin powerhouse. With 147,000 plus Bitcoin, approximately 0.7% of the total Bitcoin supply, and around 5 billion invested, MicroStrategy stands as a landmark in corporate finance. Who is Michael Saylor? Most of you will probably know quite a lot about Michael Saylor. He's a lot on conferences, talking on shows and giving interviews, but let me give you a brief overview. Before, he was the CEO of MicroStrategy. Now he's the executive chairman of Strategy, formerly MicroStrategy, guiding the company's revolutionary Bitcoin acquisition program. He's a Bitcoin pioneer, created the corporate Bitcoin treasury model, transforming traditional finance approaches with a new digital asset strategy. Vocal Bitcoin maximalist who advocates for the digital asset role in preserving wealth against inflation. This is why Michael Saylor came into the industry. First of all, he was very skeptical and he did not like Bitcoin. As soon as he understood really how it works, he came in and he started his company model. What is the transformation timeline? How was it possible for MicroStrategy to transform to Strategy and become so successful and have such a rise in stock prices? MicroStrategy began as a business intelligence software company before its holistic pivot. They pivoted to a Bitcoin strategy, acquired approximately 147,000 Bitcoin, and this is, as we learned, 0.7% of the total maximum supply of 21 million Bitcoin, at a significant lower average cost than the current market price. We will see later on in the presentation what the average buying price is. They have a long-term vision, implementing a strategic plan, expanding to 2045, focused on Bitcoin accumulation and appreciation. When was the first Bitcoin purchase of MicroStrategy? It was in August 2020. MicroStrategy makes its initial Bitcoin acquisition, beginning a historical shift for the company. It was a strategic pivot. The company moved away from traditional treasury management to a Bitcoin strategy, the digital gold vision. Saylor is recognizing Bitcoin's potential as digital gold for a corporate reserve. Corporate first. So they have been the first corporation implementing this strategy. Becomes the first public company to adopt Bitcoin as primary treasure reserve asset. Let's look at the evolution and let's have a look how they changed the business model. It's software-based, as we have learned, and the core software operation continues alongside the aggressive Bitcoin acquisition strategy. They did a strategic name change. The company rebranded from MicroStrategy to Strategy, reflecting its Bitcoin focus identity. They had a massive market capitalization growth, transforming from an already struggling software company to an 85 billion Bitcoin juggernaut. Let's have a closer look at the numbers. In 2024, from October to December 2024, they bought around 150,000 Bitcoins. From December 2024 to the end of the year, they bought another 45,370. And in the first quarter of 2025, they managed to buy 48,200. This leads to an average buying price 102,500. At the moment that I'm doing this video, they are in quite a profit. Taking a deeper look at 2025, we have January holdings 447,470 Bitcoin confirmed in their treasury. We have funding plans of 2 billion preferred stock offering announced. Some of these operations have already been rolled out and have been successful, confirmed by the shareholders. This leads to the fact that Strategy is at the moment holding 0.7% of all Bitcoin that will ever be mined. And they are still in an acquisition pace. We still need to have a look what will happen actually when the market is slowing down. What will happen if Bitcoin price goes down quite heavily? And this will, of course, also have an impact on the acquisition pace. How fast are they buying? How much are they buying? How happy are the shareholders with their decisions? What is the financial engineering strategy behind it? We have the self-sustainable cycle, strategic acquisition driving Bitcoin treasury growth. The more they buy, the more the treasury grows. The higher the Bitcoin price goes up, the more money they have to fund new purchases. They have convertible notes, which is a debt instrument funding Bitcoin purchases. So new Bitcoin purchases can be funded with that. They have the corporate structure optimized for Bitcoin acquisition strategies. So all they focus on now is to raise money, to make it in a very clever way, to be able to buy more and more and more Bitcoin. Also make strategic use of bonds and preferred stocks. What is the investment thesis behind it? They believe it's a superior reserve asset. Bitcoin is better treasury reserve. Bitcoin is not impacted by inflation. Bitcoin will always outperform inflation. If you calculate the inflation with a real rate, most of the people say that the actual inflation is around 14%. If you invested in a S&P 500, you just break even. If you're in the Nasdaq, you make a little money. If you have money in the bank, this will massively devalue. This Bitcoin strategy protects you very much from inflation and has a huge, huge upside. The upside at the moment is around 60% per year. It's an inflation protection. Digital scarcity is also a very important point of that. It's value preservation through limited supply. Unlike other assets, Bitcoin cannot be mined after all the 21 million Bitcoins have been mined. So in gold, if you have a lot of money, if the gold price is going up, the miners have more money to invest in mining. Of course, it takes some years to get the gold out of the ground, but you can increase the supply of every asset. In Bitcoin, you cannot do this. There will just only be 21 million. There's a lot of institutional adoption now going on. Major players driving price appreciation. MicroStrategy or Strategy was the first one doing this, but now we almost see daily companies coming in buying. And we can be very sure that governments all around the world are secretly buying or mining Bitcoin. This industry is exploding at the moment. The long-term vision of Saylor is that this will become a 200 trillion asset class. Projected Bitcoin market cap by 2045, becoming the world's dominant store of value. He thinks it will be a global settlement layer, Bitcoin as foundation for AI-driven internet economy of the future. All these AIs will also have to use some kind of digital money. And Bitcoin is the only one that you cannot really restrict. With all the other currencies or with all the other assets, it would be able for a government or for other entity to restrict it. We have the reserve established already. Till now, the US confirmed that they're not selling all confiscated crypto assets, especially Bitcoins, that they will just keep them. And there is the plan to buy 1 million Bitcoins over the next years. This is quite sure that this will happen. Economic immortality, long-term wealth preservation through Bitcoins, enduring value proposition. Bitcoin is the asset of the future. What are the risks? Are there any risks involved in this strategy, and how can you manage the risk? One of the risks could be aggressive leverage. Old borrowing balanced with long-term holding strategies to weather market volatility. We have to be careful that the leverage ratios, the execution ratios of these companies, not just strategy, but also all the other companies that are coming in, that they're not so high leverage that they will be or would be executed in the next Bitcoin downfall. Bitcoin maximalism can also be a risk. If you're just holding Bitcoin and you're not diversifying anymore into another asset, it is theoretically possible that Bitcoin goes to a very low number, but just theoretically, I would say. And if you are maximized in this asset, you are, of course, at risk for much downside. On the other hand, you will have loads and loads of upside if you betting on the right horse. Asymmetric bet. Bitcoin viewed as the ultimate asymmetric opportunity with limited downside risks. Accumulation focus. Consistent acquisition regardless of short-term price volatility or market conditions. This is the same for a retail investor or a big company. It is possible that Bitcoin is dropping to a very low level, and then you start to buy the dip, so to say, but then it falls more and more and more. And if you're leveraged very heavily, this can also be a risk for a person and for a company. What is the market impact for MicroStrategy, or now called strategy? In this graph, we can see now the development of the Bitcoin price and also the development of the strategy stock price. In 2020, Bitcoin price was 20,000 and strategy stock price at 200. If you look here at 2021, Bitcoin price at 60,000, strategy stock price at 700. Then it dropped quite heavily here to 15,000 in 2022, and the stock price was at 150. But then you see a sharp rise in the Bitcoin price. In 2023, 40,000 Bitcoin, 400 stock price of strategy, and here it really picks up. And then here we look in 2025, we have a Bitcoin price of estimated 120,000 at the end of the year, and the strategy stock price is estimated around 3,000 at this point. We see it has got a massive impact on their stock value. And this is why a lot of companies are using this approach at the moment. What are the critics saying and what are the challenges? Volatility exposure. Critics point to Bitcoin's price swings as a major corporate risk. During market downturns, the strategy faces intense scrutiny. Traditional finance experts question the wisdom of concentrated exposure to a single volatile asset. Concentration risk. Corporate government concerns arise from the singular focus on Bitcoin. This approach defies conventional traditional management principles. Shareholders bear extreme Bitcoin exposure without portfolio diversification protections. Regulatory uncertainty. Evolving cryptocurrency regulations pose significant compliance challenges. Further regulatory changes could impact the company's core strategy. Tax implications remain complex for large corporate Bitcoin holdings. I don't think we will get an unpleasant announcement from the US government, at least, about these topics, but we will never know in the future how the next president, how the next administration is maybe able to change the laws, and this could generate a massive problem for this strategy. What is the future of strategy? They will continue to accumulate Bitcoin, what is the future? What is the future of strategy? They will continue to aggressively acquire Bitcoin and build up their reserve. They will leverage AI integration and Bitcoin. They will leverage AI integration and they will leverage AI integration and they will leverage AI integrations and use the synergies between AI and Bitcoin. They are positioning globally for a mainstream adoption. Michael Saylor and this strategy of his company, they're helping a lot of other companies to get into the asset to do the same plan, because then the Bitcoin price will, of course, go up. If other corporations invest in Bitcoin, his holdings will go up. So it's beneficial for everybody. Digital economy, Bitcoin as settlement layer for AI as a powerful feature. We will see if this works out. At the moment, Bitcoin is not the best asset to make payments. As you probably know, they are faster assets. They are not that trustful, but we will see how everything develops. You can still use the Lightning Network, but the Lightning Network is not really P2P, not really person to person. You have a node in the middle. This node is often operated by a different person if you don't know how to set up the node. So it will be a different person or different entity, but this is the future vision of strategy. I hope this presentation was useful to you. Leave a like, subscribe to my channel, and I wish you all the best. See you. Bye-bye. Take care.